Hey there! How are you folks? Welcome to another video. I guess this is another video in my just epic multi-part video series on how to use Quicken to run the business of you. I don't know if I'll ever be done with this series. I've been making videos now for multiple years. Anyway, I am in this video going to walk you through buying Quicken and show you I guess that's going to be the end of the road, but more importantly, I'm going to walk you through the options Quicken offers, both from like a product lineup and also a Mac versus PC perspective. I will admit that Quicken has a lot of offerings. It can be confusing to figure out which one is best for you. So I think this video will help you decide on which product you should go with. Well, at least I think it will. We'll see. But before I get to that, I wanted to let you know that I am soon to be relaunching my flagship course. It used to be called the Financial Independence Roadmap. We are changing the name to Personal Finance Mastery, Running the Business of You. And we're going to be launching it on even a new e-learning platform very soon in the next month or so. So this is a little intro heads up. It's April of 2025. So who knows, by the time you're watching this, the link may already be in the video below. Not in the video below, in the description below. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. If you're looking to get your quote-unquote financial act together or just learn how to do personal finance from top to bottom an easy way, this course will be for you. All right, so let's get into the video here. Excuse me, I'm gonna wipe a smudge off my glasses. Okay, so I have up on my screen the Quicken website. Now, I don't know exactly when I became the Quicken guy. It's pretty funny, dubious distinction, I suppose. But I have like multiple versions of Quicken on my computer, which is a good thing because I can show you the difference between the Mac and the PC, and also now their newer product, Quicken Simplifi. So that is good. I'm going to explain a little caveat about my computer. So I have a Mac here, as you probably can tell, but many of my videos, if you've seen them before, you see me running the Windows version of Quicken. I just want to explain that really quick because some people sometimes get confused. They're like, you have a Mac, but it looks like you don't have the same version I do. I run a program on my Mac called Parallels, which allows you to essentially run an instance of a Windows computer right on your Mac in like a window. Now, I used to own a post-production company, so it was imperative for me to have this software so I could navigate between Windows-based files and Mac-based files and vice versa. But it just so happened to help me with Quicken at the time. Like, I started using Quicken back in college, so like the mid-90s. And back then, there was only two personal finance software options. There was Quicken and there was Microsoft Money. I'm glad I went with Quicken because Microsoft Money doesn't exist anymore. And Quicken was only available on a PC. At that time, I had a PC, so that was fine. Eventually, I got a Mac, and I put Parallels on it for other reasons, but I realized I could continue to use the PC version of Quicken using Parallels. And the truth of the matter is, and I'll cover this a little bit, the PC version, being the oldest, has the most features and is like the most customizable. The Mac version of Quicken Classic is close. It's got a lot of great features. It's even got some features that the PC doesn't, that I'm jealous about. But it was never worth it for me to like switch over to the Mac. And also, only until recently did the Mac offer the personal and business version, which offers features that I need, for my business. But Quicken has done a good job at finally getting the product lines to be somewhat similar, and I'll talk about that here in a sec. I could possibly switch over to the Mac version finally after all of these years, but it's just too much hassle, so why would I do that? Unless I want to ditch Parallels. Now, I will say some of my students also had Parallels or were familiar with the Windows version and decided to do the Parallels thing because they liked that idea. If for whatever reason you would want to do that, I mean, I think it's a small percentage of people, if any, there is extra expense to having Parallels. Parallels costs about $70, and they try to get you on a yearly thing. And then to buy an instance of Windows for Parallels, it's $300. So to sell it Parallels is about $400 to do. Most people aren't going to spend that extra money. Why would you, unless you had some other reason to use Parallels? But some people say, hey, I'm on a PC. I've been using Quicken for a while. I'm switching to a Mac. I don't really want to switch to Quicken Mac. Do I have an option? And just oddly through this configuration, they do. So that's probably the number one reason why anyone would do it. All right, so let's start looking at the Quicken product. Overall here, Quicken has essentially two products now. It has what it's called Quicken Classic, and it has a newer product called Quicken Simplifi. So let's start there with the distinctions there. Quicken Classic is, as the name states, the classic version of Quicken, the version that's been around forever. Since, I think, 40 years or something, the PC version has been around. And for all of you who would want to know this, Quicken used to be owned by the company Intuit, which owns QuickBooks. So if you happen to ever run into QuickBooks desktop software and you look at Quicken Classic software on the PC, that is, they're very similar looking because I assume they were sort of based on the same code. Eventually, Intuit, about 6-7 years ago, sold off Quicken to a private equity firm, and now it's just a standalone company. But it still benefits from the extensive banking integrations that were set up back when it was a company of Intuit. So if you go on most banks' websites and you go to download transactions, it'll offer you three options. It'll offer you a QuickBooks based file, a Quicken based file, or some sort of CSV file. And the reason Quicken is still there is because of the history of the company. And that actually is a great benefit in many cases. Okay, but now, Quicken Classic was designed to be a locally installed and local database file computer program, the way it all used to be back in the day. Nowadays, they're coming out with this new product called Simplifi. I don't know how many years it's been. That is a completely web-based product. You do not install a software on your computer. You literally go log in via a browser. You could be on a Mac or a PC or whatever, and it's going to be the same experience. And obviously, that's the future. That's where most people are going. I don't know if eventually they're going to retire Quicken retire Quicken Classic entirely and just offer this web-based Simplifi product. That may be the case. It is also the case, though, however, and I'm going to have another video walking you through this. I'll put it in the description. So that Quicken Classic and that data from that database file on your computer now uploads to a cloud location, and you can access all of your Quicken Classic data and even utilize it as a web-based experience. So Quicken Classic is actually straddling both worlds, the old world of locally installed and the new world of web-based, and it literally will sync your data between the two automatically. But you could also turn that off if you don't like that. So a lot of my clients in my age and older, they're like, I just like to do it on my computer. It's faster, it's better. I like, whatever. Younger people are like, it's not web-based. What? I have to install something? Forget that. And so, Quicken is answering that call with the Simplifi product. So we're going to look at all those here. So first and foremost, I'm going to start with the Classic product. So if you come here to plans and pricing, you're going to see Quicken Simplifi. This is the new web-based only product. And Quicken Classic is the original product which you install and have a database file. Now you'll see here that Quicken Classic has a Windows and Mac version. All right. Quicken Simplifi does not because it is web-based. Now over here you see also that there's personal. So for Quicken Classic, there are three options now. There's Premier, Deluxe, and Personal and Business. Now, up until just recently, the Mac version of Quicken did not have Personal and Business, but it does now. And when it initially came out, it didn't offer all the features, but now it offers most of the features. So I would say Quicken Business and Personal is fairly equivalent on the Mac and the PC. The PC has a few more features and a few more ways to dial things in, stuff that I like and I'm used to, but I could switch over to Quicken Mac, Home and Business, and probably be fine at this point. Now, The Quicken PC Home and Business does have some dedicated real estate features that the Mac Home and Business does not. I don't actually use those real estate features anymore, even though I own real estate. I found my own simpler way to do it. What they tried to do with that was cool, but it was way too complicated in my opinion, and I found a simpler, easier way to do things without using the real estate features, so I don't even need those. But if you definitively want some kind of special features to manage your real estate, and there are some cool things in there, you are still stuck with the Quicken Classic PC version. Okay, man, I know that's a lot, and I will admit that, Quicken has so many different products and levels, it is confusing to get started. But, okay, so we have this personal tab and we have this business tab, and in here you're going to see Quicken Classic, Business, and Personal, and all of a sudden, I'm just seeing this for the first time today too, they now have a Quicken Simplify Business and Personal. There really are going the way of the web-based software, which I'm happy about that they need to do that. QuickBooks is doing that too. They're putting all their resources into QuickBooks Online. So my question though remains is, will the classic software eventually be retired and everybody will move over to the Quicken Simplify web-based? I don't know. I can't imagine that's going to happen anytime soon. At this point, I should probably just have a direct line to the CEO of Quicken, so I can just call him up and be like, "Yo, just give me the download, what you're doing with the products, so I can let everybody know." But unfortunately, they have not called me to set up that kind of bat phone situation just yet. Okay, now LifeHub is yet another new product. I don't know much about that. That's about, as it says here, organizing, protecting, sharing life's essential information. This is actually, there used to be a product that Quicken offered, I don't know, decades ago, that allowed you to do a home inventory, like all of your assets in your house, your car, all these things to like help with your insurance and just kind of keep all your life stuff in one place. They discontinued that product a long time ago. I actually used it for a bit, but even I was like, God, do I really need to do all this? So maybe they're sort of reinventing that with this LifeHub thing. I like the idea of having, a way to, categorize your assets and things for insurance purposes and so on, and maybe have all your, your will and trust documents in one place. Yeah, it could be cool. But we're not going to talk about that today. Okay, so if you're new with Quicken and you're like, or even new with personal finance, you're going to have to decide which software do I want to go with. That's going to be up to you. My guess is if you're on the younger side or you've never done anything with personal finance, age regardless, you may want to go with the Quicken Simplify. We'll take a quick look at it here. My understanding of Simplify to this point was that it's simpler than the Quicken Classic product. The Quicken Classic product is going to have, the most customization, all the bells and whistles. The home and business product really is, it's in its own category. You can't go get QuickBooks and run your business and your personal finances in one place. It's only for business. Quicken obviously does personal finances, but that home and business is a great middle ground product that nobody else that I know of offers, where you can manage your business finances and personal finance in one place effectively. Now, I will say that it's best suited for businesses that are like, you're just a single member corp or LLC and you're a consultant, you do some invoicing, you have some payables, but you don't have employees, you're not needing Shopify integrations and things like that. There's a limit to what Quicken Home and Business can do business-wise for sure. At some point, you might need to trade up to QuickBooks, and maybe I'll do a video about what those limits are and when you might want to trade up. It's a good idea. But for the most part, like me, consultant, I do some invoicing, I have some payables, blah, blah, blah. Quicken Home and Business is perfect. And I have my real estate in there. You can have multiple businesses segmented. It's pretty great. So I'm just going to stick with Classic until they peel my cold, dead hands off of it, I suppose. The thing about it is this. Once you start with something like this and you start building data into it, you don't really want to switch. Switching is a pain, which is why I've never switched. Actually, I was talking to a guy just yesterday who was like, I went down the Mint road, Intuit Mint personal finance. I got it all set up, and then they canceled the product, and now I'm switching to Quicken, and I'm bummed because this is annoying, you know. So Quicken's been here the longest. Hopefully it'll continue to be here the longest. Many other products have come and gone. Quicken has somehow maintained. So good for you, Quicken. Okay, so let's look now into the difference of the products. So we know the difference here, but we can come down, we can choose to look at Simplify or directly or not. But what I'm going to do here is go down to compare plans, and we are going to see what it is telling us down here. Now, you might see here there's now a personal and business tab, because I wish they didn't do this. I wish they just put everything on one page, because people are like, where's the home and business? But it's over here on this tab. But let's look at the personal for now, where they are offering Quicken Simplify, Quicken Business and Personal, but the Simplify, I guess, web-based version. And then they're offering Classic here, but on this page they're only offering Classic Personal, but there's the Deluxe and Premier versions. Gosh, Quicken, just like pare it down a little bit more, why don't you? If we go to Business, we see Quicken Business and Personal. I don't know why this is on this tab and not, it's on Personal tab, but we see Quicken Business and Personal and Mac. So these are all the options. Now again, I'm on my Mac browsers, so they're kind of offering me all the Mac things. You can choose, obviously, whichever you want. I'm going to look at them in a minute here and show you some differences. Just make sure this doesn't close out. Okay. Now, if you're on the Windows side, if you're on a Windows browser, it should be similar. You can compare plans. You can see personal, business, blah, 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 and make your decision. Now, if you go learn more, and do it over here, you should get into... Let me see how you get into. There is a compare product chart. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. This is where you can sort of compare the difference with the products. Most people ask me, hey, what's the difference between Premier and Deluxe? And the difference of Premier and Deluxe is in theory, the cheapest, though they're offering you almost the same price for Premier. Deluxe offers all your basic personal finance stuff, your checking accounts, credit cards, doing some budgeting, everything, but it doesn't offer you to track your investments. And Quicken does a really good job with tracking investment accounts, at least in the Classic version, where you can really get very detailed performance information. One thing that's awesome about Quicken is you can take all your different investment accounts, if you have accounts at different institutions, aggregate them in Quicken, and then collectively analyze the total performance. Whereas if you didn't have something like Quicken, you'd have to go to each website and sort of kind of figure it out independently. So you see here, we have all these options, and then you go to Premier, and it's like adds on best-in-class investing tools, built-in tax rewards, reconciled to the penny, blah, blah, blah. So that is the difference between Deluxe and Premier. And then, of course, when you go to the Home and Business version, we're going to be adding on the business functionality, which is you're going to have a ability to segment your business kind of visually, but also in reports. You're going to have additional tax classifications for your Schedule C. You're going to be able to do invoices and manage accounts receivable and accounts payable. I will say that the invoicing and accounts receivable is, it's on the more basic side. It doesn't have all the complexity of like a QuickBooks accounts receivable system, but it's enough for like me, independent consultant. I send a few invoices a month here and there, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, you can do some additional reports like, a balance sheet. You can even, with your accounts payable and receivable, do accrual-based reporting. I will say, though, and I probably should save this for that video about the difference between business and QuickBooks. What QuickBooks does in its business software is it sort of assumes, by and large, you're going to be a sole proprietor or do your taxes on your Schedule C. And when you do that, you don't need a traditional balance sheet. And so Quicken doesn't make a traditional balance sheet because it doesn't have equity accounts like a QuickBooks does. What it does do on the balance sheet, though, is it just summarizes your equity into one line item called equity by the process of deduction, essentially, through the accounts that it's tracking and the activity on your P&L. So effectively, you can produce a balance sheet that is fine for your tax returns. However, you won't have a breakdown of shareholder stock or shareholder distributions, or retained earnings and net profit. Those four things are the detail of a summarized equity. Those are equity accounts in QuickBooks. Quicken does not have that detail. You can produce that detail on your own in a spreadsheet if you really want to. My CPA is fine with just the summarized equity. It makes sense, and that's a fine way to do the balance sheet on the tax return, especially for a smaller level business. Okay, so if we go down here a little, let's go back to here and just kind of do the comparison down the line. We have, it shows you kind of the differences. I will admit, I don't know the depth, what the depth is on Quicken Simplify yet. I'm going to start learning it myself and try to do some videos on it because people have been asking me about it. What I tell people right now is if you're just getting started and you don't have like a lot of investments to track or real estate or whatever, and you just like, checking account, credit cards, car loan, maybe a mortgage, I'm sure it has some tracking for a brokerage account, you could probably go with Simplify. I don't know if then later you can take that data and move it into Quicken Classic. I mean, and as I said, they might be getting rid of Quicken Classic, so who knows? Maybe I'll email Quicken and try to find out. I am curious. Okay, but you can go through here and find out what's what. Now you're going to find out here that in the Quicken Classic part, sometimes on certain things you're only going to see a Windows icon, and that is because there are some features, like I said, that are still only in Windows and not in the Mac version, and probably not in Simplify. But obviously you can go through all of these things and try to determine, which of the things that you're going to need. Like looking at manage and grow investments, you can look at consolidated performance tracking, custom investments, newsfeed, real-time quotes, and Quicken Simplify, but you can't customize portfolios. There's no capital gains estimator, assess the impact of buy and sells. Probably what more modern softwares do when it comes to investment accounts is they don't give you performance data. They let you do that on the investment account website, but they give you summary information of your holdings and the account value, and they put that in with your net worth. My guess is Simplify does something more to that point because we see a lot of things missing here. Plan for the future. The Windows version has some more what if tools and calculators. I don't particularly use those, so that wouldn't bother me. Tax time stuff, tax related expense categories in the Simplify, but you can create custom tax categories in the other versions. You can dial in your understanding your taxes more clearly for your Schedule A and D. Now, when it comes to taxes, back to my story of Quicken being owned by Intuit, Intuit also owns TurboTax. A lot of what was built into these tax features is you assign your expenditures to tax line items, and then you go to use TurboTax, and it just sends all the data right through it, and it really does make life simple if your tax preparation is simple. My tax preparation is much more complicated. I could never be able to use TurboTax or utilize that kind of thing, so I don't worry too much about the tax-related categorization and so on. However, I do make reports for capital gains. I do make certain tax-related reports, so I do get some use out of it, and I get probably more use than what the Simplify would offer me. Okay, so yeah, anyway, you can poke through here and see if you can assess, what's best for you or not. Now, again, people are probably going to be attracted to the web-based thing. I am too, but Quicken Classic does offer a web-based functionality. I'm going to do a video on that. I think I might do it right after this video. So you would have an option to be able to access your data via the web-based functionality. I will say I don't use it, not because it wouldn't do everything I would want it to do. The main problem I have with it is it reorganizes your list of accounts a little bit, and that bugs me, and I don't really, if I'm going to do my finances, I sit at my computer and I do it. I don't want to do it on a phone, blah, blah, blah. So it just not that valuable for me. I will say though that the app, it has a companion app, and this will be the case for Classic and Simplify, and you could take pictures of receipts and attach them to transactions in the app, and that's handy sometimes. Okay, so there you go. So now I think that's a pretty good explanation of the difference of the products and how you might have some differentiation between the Mac and the PC. Now we're going to take the last part of this video and look at the different products themselves live. Okay, so I got Quicken Classic open in Windows right here. Now again, reminder, running parallels, and I got the program open. This is what it looks like. It has a database that all the data that I pile into it, there's a database file. You wouldn't even know that. Honestly, you open Quicken, you run it, it says, hey, let's set up your file. You put your name in there, Joe's Finances, it creates the database file, it puts it in a particular location on your computer, and then every time you open Quicken, it just opens your database file. So most people don't even realize there's a database file. However, there is one, and you can look at it. You can see where it is. It'll show you where it is on your computer, and you can move it. You can put it anywhere you want. It doesn't have to be in one place. I actually run it on Dropbox so that I have a backup for it. I will say, caveat, Quicken does not support that setup. So if you have some kind of problem and you call Quicken and you tell them you're using Dropbox, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know if we can help you. So just don't tell them that. I haven't had a problem using it on Dropbox, but I will admit some of my students have reported some issues that we were managed to fix. But so I don't know. Sometimes I get nervous recommending that now, but I do it and I haven't any problems, and I do it for multiple clients, and I shared the file with different people in different locations, and we both work on the file, and so far it's been fine. So this is Quicken Windows. And let's see, I'm sorry, I had a thought there. I might actually put this up front in the video as well. I don't know why I'm saying this out loud. You don't need to know that. I'm just like editing the video in my head and sort of saying it. Okay, starting over. So, okay, this is Quicken Windows. This is what it looks like. As I said, database file. It's got the most features. If you go to like the preferences, it's going to have the most options to like totally dial in the software and so on. But, you know, most people that switch from Windows to Mac complain a little bit about missing features, but not much. Now, I also use Quicken Mac because a couple of my clients are on Mac only, and we share the file. And so we use a Quicken Mac file on Dropbox. And the main thing I like about Quicken Mac that Quicken PC does not have is Quicken Mac uses undo. I can do Control-Z and undo anything, and that is amazing, and I don't know why the PC doesn't have that, but it doesn't. It's really annoying. But this is what the Mac looks like. It's definitely more modern looking software. Many people like that. It basically works the same way. In the business version, you can have, you know, a segregated area for your business accounts, blah, blah, blah. On the whole, I don't like not even going to get into that. Scratch that. Now, it's a very overall similar working process. You have accounts, you have registers, you have information in the registers. You can customize the way the registers look. You can't customize them in the exact same ways on the different softwares, but you can customize them. Both of them will sync to what I call the Quicken Classic Cloud and give you the opportunity to use and interact and even update your information from a web-based interface, a browser-based interface. Just really quick, if you go into your settings on either Quicken Classic Mac or PC, and you go to Connected Services, this is where you're going to be able to decide if you want to sync that stuff on or off, but that's what this stuff is about, kind of syncing your data to the cloud. They're actually just released a new feature too, whereas if you sync your data to the cloud and you have some problem with your database file, I don't know, corruption, you can restore your data from your cloud sync, which is handy. I would say generally people don't have problems with their database file, but it does happen, I don't know, here and there. But of course, Quicken offers a local backup service and even an online backup service, so that you always have, you know, a backup of your database file, unless, you know, in the case there's some kind of corruption or whatever. Now on to the Simplifi. So I literally just created an account for Simplifi this morning to make this video. And what I did is like I own 3 iterations of Quicken now. I got my account for Quicken PC. I got my account for Quicken Mac because I can't throttle between Mac and PC with one account. And now I have a totally 3rd account for Simplifi, so I can start using that. I logged in, it prompted me to add some accounts. I just added a manual checking account for now, so it was similar in that way, and now it's taking me through these steps. Step 1 of 4, budget with spending plans. It's giving me a little like overview, I guess. Oh, I guess there's no more than steps than that. This is what Quicken Simplify looks like. It has obviously an account list here, investments, assets, liabilities. It's got, dashboard. You can create a spending plan, so budgeting, savings goals, bills and income area where you can kind of manage your bills and income, investment trust groups. So this is the test account I made. It's like these modern web-based things, I don't know, a lot of them, they're trying to take the data and like visualize it and like make it easier for people to interact with. I guess I'm just so used to like looking at the register, like I don't even like that stuff. I just like to look what's in there. Now, I haven't put any transactions in here, so let's see if possibly I could really quick. I don't know, add. Here's a test transaction, $100, uncategorized. Now, it comes with all the categories built in. I don't know if you can customize these or not. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. It looks like it offers tags, notes, great. Add it in there, there you go. So it's very much, I use QuickBooks Online now, and I have to say when I first switched from desktop to online, I was just like, oh no, I hate this. There are many things about QuickBooks Online that I like. There are things I don't like, but I think I like enough that I'm kind of a convert at this point. And the fact that there's so many cool integrations and so on, like once you add that into the mix, you're like, definitely online's better. But for Quicken web-based, like it's not going to have integrations with Shopify and payroll and all that sort of stuff. It's just not that level of business accounting software. Who knows? Maybe someday it will. I don't know. But so anyway, this is what Quicken Simplify looks like. It's obviously the most modern. It's, we're now in, 2020 going, plus here versus, Quicken Classic. It's called Boomer software apparently now. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm not a Boomer. I think it's Boomers. I still use Quicken Classic, so don't feel bad about it. But you're probably not going to be finding too many millennials, certainly not Gen Zers, signing up for Quicken Classic. That is for sure. But so this is what they can sign up for now. I still believe that Quicken has the most experience in personal finance. They've been around the longest. They probably have the best products functionality. Sometimes when companies go from the old way of software to the new way, they can't relinquish old ways. And they need to, so I feel like maybe Quicken could be guilty of that at times. But if I were to put my money on any one product out in the market today, being here 10 years from now, I'm going to put it on Quicken. So there you go. That was a really long video. Hopefully that helps somebody. Most of you are probably gone by now, and they're just like, this is the most boring video in the world. If you're still here, congratulations. You're probably serious, and you're going to get ahead above everybody else. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.